Well, welcome. We are here. It's Backstage at Newport Folk for the third time today. I'm joined by the lovely Mandolin Orange. Guys, thank you so much for making the time for us.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah, appreciate it.
And could you just introduce yourselves for our listeners?
Yeah, I'm Emily Frantz.
And I'm Andrew Marlin.
Awesome. And then Blindfall, one of our favorite albums of 2016. Thank you so much for the great release.
Oh, thank you.
And then I heard that you guys met on Inauguration Day 09.
Yes, this is true.
Is that sort of like, I don't want to say an omen. I don't know. I feel like when you meet on Inauguration Day, politics has to seep into music somehow.
Yeah. Well, things went really great for us for the first 8 years, you know.
Yeah, true.
No, I think that was... I think most people remember that as a really special day. There was just something in the air. So I think it really at least contributed to us sort of just feeling that extra little bit of excitement on that day when we met. And it really wasn't until Obama's presidency started to come to a close that we were thinking about what a special thing that was and how we had that marker in time. But I think politics has seeped its way into the music a little bit, but it probably would have either way.
Of course. So I was reading an article in Huffington Post, which had a really interesting sort of interpretation of Wildfire. I don't know, did you guys stumble across that article?
Yeah, I did.
So I don't know if you might just sort of be able to summarize the article for just sort of your thoughts and reactions to it, because I thought it was a very interesting piece, to say the least.
It's been a while since I read the article, so I don't feel like I could confidently summarize the article, but I'm sure you could talk about the song a little bit. I remember enjoying the article and feeling like the person's interpretation was seemed very much in line with the sentiment that is in the song for us.
Yeah, I think the song kind of was born out of I grew up in a really small town in North Carolina, and it was named after this fella Joseph Warren, and that's kind of where the song starts, is just talking about Joseph Warren, who died at the Battle of Bunker Hill in the Revolution, and basically just saying we've had so many opportunities to get it right, but we haven't, to shape this country, because it was a brand new country, and to include everybody. And we, countless times, along with the Civil War, each time we've had these opportunities to set the country up in a way that's fair for everybody, and we just keep missing the ball. And so I think the song just was supposed to be a reminder that, we're all here together, and we're all just trying to be kind to each other and look for the same things in life, and just not forget that. And maybe next time we have an opportunity to restart this country, we could get it right.
It's a beautiful song on a beautiful record. Is there a song from Blindfall that you guys have sort of come back to, one that you feel like you did a really awesome job on, or a favorite on the record?
I would say Wildfire is definitely the one that kind of just came into place really effortlessly, both the recording and the song. It was written really close to when we went into the studio, maybe just like a week or so beforehand, and it was just one that it just came out initially exactly the way it felt like it needed to be. We never really worked on it. Andrew worked on it when he was writing it, but we never really had to find the song's identity. It just kind of presented itself to us, I think. And that was the case for a lot of the songs on that record, but trying to think. Yeah, I'd say Wildfire stands out.
See, I love that phrase, finding a song's identity. So as musicians, as sort of like a duo, how do you guys find a song's identity in the studio, sort of work through that and find eventually where it leads?
Yeah, it's weird. When they're written, a lot of times they're kind of written from a very personal space, like a very quiet space. And a lot of times they go to tape that way, or to digital, however you want to say it. But, they get recorded in this kind of quiet, very reserved, very personal way. And then they kind of take on a new identity, I feel like, when we start playing them live. They take on a new energy, and we start to kind of get to know them a little better, like the little intricacies here and there. It's kind of like getting to know a person, the longer you know somebody, the more you know the ins and outs, and the little things that make them who they are. And I feel like the same applies to a song.
I think in the studio we try not to overthink things too much, and a lot of that comes with the territory of we do most of our recording live, and so it doesn't give you a lot of room to do things that don't feel natural on a song, because you have to be able to play it and sing it at the same time, and everybody play it, and you can't necessarily go back and add on a bunch of stuff or take away something that didn't feel right. So usually we try to just let them come out.
Of course. So I was reading something that this record, two of the big themes are doom and destruction. So when I heard that, I have to ask, where did the doom and the destruction come from? How did that seep its way into the record?
I feel like all of our records are kind of about doom and destruction. But I don't know. I think with this one, it's being recorded and kind of written right around election time, and that time leading up to the election, and it just felt like people were latching on to the wrong things, and really getting behind candidates that weren't necessarily gonna look out for their best interests, though they were saying they were. You know what I mean? I think judging a book by its cover when you're gonna go to the ballot box is not the way to be, and it just seemed like things were kind of imploding on themselves, and so I think that's where a lot of the writing came from, was just trying to wake people up and say, just try and make sound decisions for everybody. So,
yeah, and like Andrew's saying, I think there's been a lot of sort of doom and gloom on a lot of our records, and up until this most recent one, it's been a lot more sort of personal and internal and emotional and those sorts of struggles. And this was one of the first times that we were able to kind of, and Andrew in the songwriting was able to look outward a little more. And it's a lot of those same feelings, but it's not derived from our own personal experiences necessarily. It's looking around us at the world.
Of course, that's an awesome way to look at it. And then, so one of the questions I have for you is sort of bluegrass as a genre. It's one that I feel like it doesn't get the love it deserves. So how did you guys sort of fall into it, and how are you able to sort of bring this music to a more modern audience, sort of like, so that way people, 1920 can enjoy it as well?
Yeah, I think it's a very powerful music when done well. I mean, there's some great bluegrass bands out there and some not so great ones, but I think the style of music in general is a very inclusive one. It's structurally pretty simple. The melodies are pretty straightforward. Straightforward enough to where, beginners and like really great players can all come to the same song and then really enjoy it. And kind of, players that are super accomplished can kind of put their own spin on it and do some chord substitutions, and all of a sudden they're jazzing up a bluegrass tune, and it makes it really interesting. But for the most part, it's just three chords and really good melodies. And so I think that's one of the most powerful things about it. And the thing that I've really enjoyed about it is that I've been able to grow as a player so much within this genre, playing the same old songs and just coming at them from different directions as I feel like I get more accomplished on my instruments. But yeah, I think the other thing that to answer your other question, one way we're able to hopefully keep it interesting for people is, we're including electric guitar and drums on some of those simple structures, and I think it just adds a little more depth to the music, especially with the players we've been able to play with. So,
and I think one other thing that enables us to maybe play to a broader audience is just the fact that we have always really tried to focus on our music as a songwriter-oriented project. And so we play a lot of bluegrass and old time, and that's the music that we love and the instruments that we play. But so we bring kind of those sensibilities to it, but we try to also always keep an open mind about what we could be doing with the song, or how we can, it doesn't have to sound like a strict bluegrass song necessarily.
Of course, and you guys are great ambassadors for the genre, I must say.
Well, thank you.
And then, so we're at Newport Folk. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it. So who you guys looking forward to seeing this weekend?
I'm looking forward tonight to seeing Regina Spektor, and I was told I shouldn't say this out loud, but I've actually never seen Wilco live, so
we
really
were just talking about that. No one at the
Yeah.
table has seen Wilco live, or unless you have, Andrew. Yeah.
I've not. I'm looking forward to it.
There we go. Well, there we go. And then another, Newport is all about collaboration, so if y'all could take the stage with someone, who would you want to be taking the stage with?
We missed our opportunity with Charles Bradley last night, but that would have been playing mandolin with Charles Bradley. I mean, come on, that would have been awesome.
You can't ask for more than that, man.
Yeah.
Seriously. And another big thing about Newport that they're doing this year, it's Speak Out, sort of like a tribute to protest songs. What protest songs really move you guys? What are some of your favorites?
Man, so many of them. there's this one record that I feel like has a bunch of them. They're kind of subtle, but I feel like that's what's so great about early Bob Dylan is that The Times They Are Changing record. It's just one of my favorite albums, and it's hard to name a favorite song off of that one, but I feel like that was in a time where he was really just crushing it as a songwriter. He always crushes it as a songwriter, but he was very much writing from a personal space that was also very wrapped up in what was happening around him. So that'd be an album I would choose for sure.
Nice.
Do you have one in?
Well, I was wrapped up in what you were saying, and I wasn't thinking of anything.
We are sitting in direct sunlight right now, so it's hard to gather our thoughts.
And you're a captivating speaker, too. Don't sell yourself short. So y'all are obviously a dynamic duo, but if you could add another member to Mandolin Orange, maybe sit next to someone on a plane or add a member to the band, who are we adding?
Well, it turns out we're adding 3 people tomorrow because
there we go.
we'll be playing with our full band, and we feel really strongly about all. It was not a hard transition for us, but a really thoughtful one to sort of form a band because we do perform. It's so easy and effortless for us to perform as a duo. And so all the guys that are going to be playing with us tomorrow, it's Josh Oliver plays guitars. He's from Tennessee. Clint Mulligan plays bass, and Joe Westerland plays drums. And we just feel so lucky that we honed in on these players that are able to really connect with what it is that we're trying to portray on stage and help us accomplish that. And so we're excited to play with those guys tomorrow.
Nice. And now I feel bad. I've been peppering you for questions for the past, 11 minutes. So do you guys have a question for each other or a question for me?
How long have you been doing this?
4 years. This
years.
is my second Newport, so I'm really excited to sort of be back and I don't know, you just don't find a vibe like this too often, and sort of a lot of different types of music sort of converge here. So we're actually more of an alternative station, but to be able to do things like this is awesome.
Cool. Well, you're very good at it. You make us feel welcome on the radio, which is a hard thing to do. So.
Well, thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. Well, I'm going to let you guys go. I know you have a busy day ahead of you, but first, who are you listening to? Who has your ear right now?
I've been listening to a lot of John Reichman, who's a really great mandolin player from the Northwest, and he plays this really, really great old Lloyd Loar mandolin that sounds incredible, but he also just pulls the tone out of it. And so, he just writes these great instrumental tunes, and it's been nice diving into his records for a little inspiration.
Nice.
And I've been having a little sort of rendezvous with Nancy Griffith lately. I feel like I listened to her music a lot, maybe in college and when I was first getting into playing in bands. And I recently downloaded a bunch of her albums again and been digging back through those.
Awesome. And if you're not listening to Mandolin Orange, damn it, you should be. Emily, Andrew, thank you both so much for the time.
Yeah, thanks for having us.